Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Fullerton. My name is Tomoko Rosas, and I'm a practitioner at this beautiful spiritual center. It's such a beautiful day, getting chilly. I love it. Please join me in stating our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. So before we get started, I have a few announcements. Now, did everybody get their fall program book? 40 Days of Thankful Living, a spiritual journey in cultivating a grateful heart. And I am so enjoying that. Every day we're reminded of what to be thankful for, and our focus together create this beautiful healing energy. So it's a wonderful program to join in. So if you can, please pick up your book and follow along with us every single day. Our food collection for the Pathways of Hope is ongoing and it's overflowing. Thank you, everybody. And we'll be making a delivery this week, and then every week as the food comes in, we'll be delivering to their food pantry. The details and the list of items that are needed are in the program. Wednesday evening guided meditation is ongoing until the first week of December, so please join us at 6 p.m. if you can. And we are calling out for stories. Do we have writers? You don't have to be a writer to talk about your answered prayer, and it doesn't have to be too many words. It could be just even a sentence or anything. If you'd like to be in our fall holiday newsletter, please submit, and it is due by the Sunday, so I could go into print, set up and print. Unexpected Income Club is doing awesome. And it's even more awesome this week because we're at $16,800. Yes, yay! Thank you everybody for your participation. Let's keep it going and find that prosperity everywhere you are. So that's it for me, and I will pass it on to Debra.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Knowing that this activity that unfolds always has God at the center. So we know that Spirit expresses in and through us, and what we want is only good in our lives, because we deserve the good. I believe that. And if we know that God is all there is, we know that it's certain, because it's done unto us as we believe, and all things are possible. This is my opportunity that I thank all of those that make this service possible. And if I forget anyone, I'm sorry. And I still, after all these years, continue to look at my notes for this. I'm going to try not to today, but I'm going to start with Tommy. That's a first. But how blessed we are to have him. I mean, this is pretty amazing. And look at all of us today coming out, starting to feel the effects of cooler weather and fall. I want to take this opportunity also to thank the Board of Trustees and Tomoko especially, and our President, Susie. After all these years, we're still together, a group of us. That's nice, and we'll tell you about the power of God and our center. I want to thank my fellow practitioners, and we're here. We pray for you, whether you want to or not, we as a whole. And if there's something specific, just reach out to us, because we need to plant that seed and that into the law in order for it to demonstrate or manifest in our lives. And that's the stories that Tomoko's asking for. If there's something you asked for months ago that's appeared, it's because of your belief in spirit. The children, we're going to grow that too again, because our children are now older, but we have a new younger one. But and the parents and the teachers who bring this loving philosophy into their lives at a young age, so their hurdles might not be like ours have been. So let's just make that path easier. Trevor and Amanda, thank you for greeting those who come for the first time and those who've come many times with your smile. And if I've forgotten anyone, know that we are grateful for your service. And with this and so much more, we go into service knowing it is perfect, whole, and complete. And Reverend Dr. Bill, I'm sorry, he will make sure that you are a very important part of our service. And for that, we're grateful because we know that it was divine appointment that brought you to us. With that and so much more, let's go into service and let's hear some music. Thank you.
I need to be still, let God love me. I need to be still, let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me.
Hi again, I'm Debra, and for those of you seeing for the first time, I'm a practitioner here along with quite a few others, but this is a part of the service that we've already invoked the Spirit of God. And now we're going to try and set the tone with my reading before Reverend Dr. Bill comes up, and I didn't really know what proof of the pudding meant. We've all heard it before. Or proof on the pudding? I'm not sure, but it's how we, in religious science, go through steps in order to manifest our good. And we do that with practicing some of our principles. It's real easy, and it's our treatment prayer that we have. And the first time you look at that, you're really confused, and I was. But it makes lots of sense, the treatment prayer, and it's where you ask for something and you sort of set it up. But today I always go back to my book, Courage, Conviction, and Consciousness, that Tomoko gave me, that I think everyone should have. And it's each day of the year is a small paragraph written by metaphysicians, New Thought thinkers, and women that are no longer present on this plane of existence. So I went to January 1st, and there were lots to choose from. And from Emma Curtis Hopkins, 1898. So I think a lot of you in New Thought know who she is. 1898, can you imagine? And this still makes a lot of sense. And it is called, she writes, How to Attain Your Good. And here in this paragraph, this reading, there is good for me and I ought to have it. See, we have to speak our word. Not think, oh, maybe I should get my good. We need to speak it. We want our good, and our good is here, right here now. So it says, there is good for me, and I ought to have it. You are sure of this. It is a foundation statement of your being. One may not admit that there is any God or great being, or to whom he allows allegiance, but he is always sure that there is good for him, which he ought to have. The good that we feel that we ought to have is our God. Every move we make are making to get our God to satisfy our idea of the good. God is called good. Good is God. We seek the good. We long for the good. We expect the good. Good is God because God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. There is no other God but good. If everything and everybody is filled with the good, and then there is no place or space that this God is not present. We can speak of God as omnipotent and that omnipresent, and that which is not good as nowhere present. God is omnipresent, good, always here, always here. Good has no other power to oppose it. It is omnipotent. God is omnipotent, good. Omnipotent, good, has no intelligence but itself. Again, all-knowing, always present, always powerful. God is omniscient good. This is a striking the mind straight on a foundation to stone within itself. Let's take all that good into prayer. Let's remember that God in our universe is always a loving, communicative, and intelligent presence. There's only one God, the one Spirit. It's all God, all action, and all things. And all of us here are loving expressions of God. We are all one with our higher power, and let's open ourselves to this inner knowing. Speaking our word that God nurtures all of us at all times and all places. We are always protected. Our lives are good day and night. Let's allow our inner desire to express God at its highest level. I have faith in God to take the necessary steps in my spiritual growth because we know God is right here, right now. We deserve the best in life. Let's be continually guided in a divine alignment with our highest purpose. Let's give thanks for the many blessings in our lives, knowing that our lives flow with every kind of good. Let's accept the kingdom of heaven on earth right here, right now, and realize it has created for me and everything the best of all things. And in this knowing, I simply release this into the law, and I let it be, and so it is.
My soul sings out to you, my Lord. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, oh Lord. My soul sings out to you. Oh God, you're my strength. You carry me on wings. You and me, you know my heart. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you, oh God. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you. My soul sings out to you.
Cosentino. Fantastic way to start a service. So, speaking of service, continuing our overarching month's theme, Harvesting the Good, this talk today is strangely worded. The proof of the pudding. I don't know what I was thinking. But really, the saying is the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Proof being where we discern the truth, the value, the honesty, the worthiness of something. The way we do that is by experiencing it firsthand, eating the pudding. That's an old British expression. When it came to America, of course, like so many other things, it kind of got morphed into this, the proof is in the pudding. Everybody's heard that, I'm sure. Whatever that's supposed to mean, I don't know. Hiding something in the pudding would be a pretty messy proposition, I think. But the fact is, the proof of the pudding, which means the worthiness of it, the honesty of it, the goodness of it. Back in the day, hundreds of years ago, when this expression came into being, pudding didn't mean pudding like we're going to have later, you know, vanilla, chocolate, or raspberry, strawberry. It was kind of more like sausages, where they chopped up meat and different stuff, and they put it in a, I'll just say, sausage skin. And the fact is, it was kind of buying a pig in a poke back then. I mean, somebody would say, well, how's the sausage? How's the pudding, is how they would put it. Well, the proof of how it is, of course, is when you bite into it. We really don't know when you put it together whether it's going to be to your liking or whether it isn't. Funny, that kind of rings true of life too. We don't know that the next thing that happens to us is going to be to our liking or not. The only thing we can do is get there and see. But I want to also investigate just a little bit as to whether something like an old proverb, or maybe like a nursery rhyme, could help us glean a little bit of something as far as our spirituality goes. And I'm thinking from the same place, I don't know why these two things always come into my mind together. The proof is of the pudding's in the eating, and hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumps over the moon. The dog laughed at such a craft, and the dish ran away with the spoon. Oh, Trevor would know that, the old trick that he did. So, and in fact, you know the expression, over the moon? Oh, I was just over the moon. That ecstatic state of, you know, real happiness because something just went real well. That's where that came from. The cow jumped over the moon. Of course, that single-handedly, that event marked the beginning of our global space exploration program. But it goes to show us, if we look hard enough, that because somebody said that, somebody imagined that, it came into somebody's mind as a possible real thing, look where we are. Jumping over the moon, that's kids' play anymore, isn't it, for us? So let's not be too sure that those old nursery rhymes can't help us in our constant, ongoing awareness. Especially the part about the dish ran away with the spoon. Come on, did the dish really run away with the spoon? No. But maybe the dish running away with the spoon is somehow analogous to sometimes we let our mind take us to places where we don't want to be. We lose sight of the truth. We lose sight of our destiny. We lose sight of our purpose and our place in this cosmos. That's the dish running away with the spoon. So, Ernest Holmes, our erstwhile founder, said this some years ago. Our consciousness of God is our real self. Okay? So the dish running away with a spoon, that's not running away with our real self. That's running away with this identity that we've cast upon ourselves, or accepted as cast upon ourselves. At the same time, it is both personal and impersonal. It is personal in that it is personified through us, and it is impersonal in that we are all using a universal power. When we know that we are using such a power, all doubt as to our ability to use it will vanish, and our words will be spoken with spontaneous reliance on truth. We know the old adage, tomorrow is promised to no one. We get that? Tomorrow's promised to no one. Well, so if this cosmos, this universe, this life principle that we live within was well, something akin to a corporation that we might work for, we would understand that we have a reasonable expectation of tomorrow, and we have a reasonable expectation of tomorrow every day until we don't. So as long as, I don't want to say it's looming over us, but as long as that is eventually the logical end of us, why would we spend any of our time either languishing over yesterday or worrying about the future? Because when does our life happen? It happens right now. How can we experience the life that we have and determine whether it's good or what we need to do to adjust it to make it so, if we're not here present doing it? If we're suffering from past woes or future worries, all we're doing is robbing ourselves of today's happiness and today's understanding. Well, what if it's not happiness all the time? Well, okay, remember Helen Keller? World's full of suffering, but it's also full of the overcoming of it. And I had another little quote I wanted to bring in here. He says confidently, oh yeah, John Paul Sartre, freedom is what you do with what's been done to you. Freedom is what you do with what's been done to you. We come into this world with no identification, right? We come into this world with no developed, identifiable self, except that cute little bundle of joy that we all were at one time. But then we take on these identities. And in the course of a lifetime, how many identities do we take on? Dozens, hundreds. I mean, identities change and change and change as we make new understandings, make new connections, leave what no longer serves us behind. We're constantly changing our identity. Then all at once, this lifetime is over, and we change this identity once again, and what can it possibly change into? At that point, it has to change into our real self again, back to our real self that never left us. In Ephesians chapter 1, verse 13, 14, and it couldn't get any clearer than this. It says, you too have been stamped with the seal of the Holy Spirit that was promised. This is the pledge of your inheritance. But I think that so often, especially if we're bogged down in the dogma and the doctrine and the ritual of religions, so often we don't really get taught that or understand that our inherent connectedness to that which created us can never be subjugated to anything without our acquiescence in that subjugation happening. We get that? So here's a problem that just kind of enters my mind when I talk about religions and philosophies. All of these teachings that somehow become concretized in their spelling out and in their definition and in their put upon understanding, so as to keep it cohesive and coherent, I suppose. But the fact is, we spend so much time sometimes on the doctrine and the dogma and the ritual, and those are all completely great things. They're fine. And in that, they help us to move from point A to point B, and they allow us to expand our thinking. They're necessary, and they're good to have. But if we allow them to just become it, to be the replacement for the real thing, then we've lost the ability to be able to taste for ourselves how great, how sweet that life and the consciousness within which all this life takes place is. So, Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Who doesn't know that Humpty Dumpty is an egg? Well, everybody knows that. But you know why we know it? Because Lewis Carroll, in his Alice in Wonderland, which we've all enjoyed one way or another, had Humpty describe himself as an egg. But in the original poem, the original nursery rhyme, there was no such thing. In fact, and I'm not going to go into this, but there's a dozen different scenarios of what Humpty Dumpty really was and who it represented, and it has something to do with British royalty. No offense. But the fact of the matter is, Humpty Dumpty is me. Humpty Dumpty could be you. Humpty Dumpty is anybody, anywhere, in any situation. Once we fall off that wall, that self-built and helpfully built by others in our lives as we continue to grow and develop, this wall gets a little higher and higher and higher, and we all know that that wall is held together by something similar to concrete. And sometimes the only way to get off that wall is just to take that tumble. And what happens to us as eggs when we hit the ground? Don't we crack? Yeah. Shatter that shell. But we have to remember that it's through the cracks that the light comes in. So if we cannot help building that shell, and we cannot help the building of the wall that we go up on, can't help it. That's just how life is. But what we can do is lean a little bit, lean into what we want to discover, lean into what we want to find for ourselves, lean into that truth that we want to taste for ourselves, rather than taking someone else's word for it, and fall off that wall, and allow that hard outer shell that we have built, made, manufactured, developed, allow it to crack, and allow it to let the light in. Because if not, we are never going to experience anything different than we've already arbitrarily locked into ourselves and locked into our thinking. And imagine that as your mind. And sometimes we get to that spot where our mind is just closed, isn't it? About certain things. God, don't tell me I'm the only one. But it happens, and every once in a while I gotta say, hey, whoa, crack that shell, Bill. Let's see let a little light in here. Let's see why you are so determined that this is the way and the only way. And by the way, don't take my word for it. I'd no sooner you took my word for it than you took the word of any evangelical or prophet or sage or cult leader who said this is the way it is because I experienced and I expect you to act accordingly. No. You want to find out what's available? And we all do. We want to find out the heights we can go to, and we all do. We need to do it for ourselves. We need to not take somebody else's word for it. We need to find out if there's some truth in this. Is there some truth that what tastes really great to me might not be so high on your list? Or you could go rave and rave and rave and rave about, I don't know, a cooked cabbage and something dinner, and I put that shell back up because I don't like cooked cabbage. So I reinstalled, even the king's horses and the king's men couldn't put it back together again, but can I? Absolutely. I can put that shell back together again just for no reason other than I don't want to think about anything else. I don't want to be open to anything. I don't want to discover something that I don't already know, because that might be a little bit fearful. Might be a little bit scary. Back to Ernest Holmes. The infinite is personal to every soul who believes in the infinite. It's not personal to us because somebody told us make it personal to you. It's personal to us because we believe it's personal. And if we believe it, it is so. Now, we've all had experience with pundits and conventional wisdom, and we know that invariably they're wrong, and so are we when we get to that point where we've got it all and we just stop. Okay? The word is infinite. The word is not like way up there, or almost close to the top, or you almost got it. It's infinite. Whatever in your wildest dreams you think the greatest possible good, a la Emma Curtis Hopkins, is for you, that's not the end of it. There's more, because it's infinite. It is a mistake to so abstract the principle that we forget the living presence. And that's so easy to do. We can get into that, I don't know, some groups get into this ecstatic state. I don't know, some are singing and talking in tongues, and some are pounding on the Bible and reiterating the word directly. This is it, this is it. No. We got to get out of the theory and the abstract version of it and understand it's only a value, and it only works and only does anything for us at all if it's done to us and we experience it directly and we know that we are experiencing it. So principle and presence, living presence, and it's the combination of the two which makes work effective. A sense of real completion can only come to that soul that realizes its unity with the great whole. So, we need something like we're metaphysics. We talk about that. We're metaphysical, we're metaphysicians, metaphysic, above, beyond, way out there, departing from the physical world. I mean, we get that because that's what we do here. I think we also need to be meta-religious. We need to get beyond the religions. We got to get beyond the philosophies, including our own. Because we say we're open at the top. Well, if we're open at the top, that means that there's always going to be more coming in. If we're going to put a hard shell around the bottom part of us, at least let's chop the top off so that we can remain open at the top and we can get those things to come in. And remember, Jesus, the master teacher, said, "These things and more ye shall do." Meaning, don't stop where you are. Don't bog down where we are. There's continued growth to be had for us, and we should have it, and we should take advantage of it. And we can do that by looking for, discovering, being aware of God, if you will, the life principle, the creation that placed us here, and finding that in the next person we meet, and in everyone we meet. From Mahatma Gandhi, if you don't find God in the next person you meet, it is a waste of time looking for him further. Now, does that mean that somebody that we are just absolutely diametrically opposed to in one field or another, politics, religion, life, you name it, it doesn't matter, does that mean that this person's evil and there's absolutely no good in him or her at all? No, what it means is this person is, one, possibly misusing that law of spirit that allows us to use our volition, our choice, in a manner that's not even self-serving, basically. Can something be self-serving here in our daily life and yet be at odds with the growth of our soul? Absolutely. And we do those sorts of things, sometimes inadvertently, all the time. And some people just do them as a way of life. But the fact is, we have to look at that person, and this is the hardest thing we're going to ever do in our life. We got to look somebody right in the eye who does and says and acts and thinks so differently from us that we just wonder if they came from a different planet. And we have to say, okay, I'm not buying what you're selling. Okay? I don't believe a word you say. But somewhere within you is that essence of God, is that spark of spirit, that undifferentiated spirit, because it is undifferentiated. We have that peace within us, just like the entire infinite, eternal universe and beyond contains undifferentiated matter from which all new things come. We have the same thing in us. Otherwise, how would we ever be able to create anything? We could not be part of the co-creative process if we didn't have within us, at our core, some spark of undifferentiated spirit that we get to mold and to choose how it manifests. So we have that. We know lots of sophisticated, intelligent people, right, with expertise in their field, who sometimes we're just in awe of. I mean, come on, it's the human thing to do. You know, even if we tell ourselves, well, we don't have heroes and we don't have those that we really look up to and those we want to emulate, yeah, we do. It may not be a lot of them, but the fact is there are people in the world and in our lives that we think, wow, this is the zenith. This is the nth degree of whatever this is. Yet, within that person, there is a little boy or a little girl. I don't care how powerful a person it is, within that person, there's a little child. Because that's how we came into this world. You know that book about all I ever needed to know I learned in kindergarten? It's true. We learn everything by the time we're 5 or 6 years old. And then we spend the rest of our life either expanding on all those things or chipping away at them, trying to get rid of them because what we learned really wasn't the best thing, you know, for us. But within each one of us, there's a little child. There's that young boy or young girl child that got excited and ecstatic and beside him or herself when something really special happened. And there's that young child that was just trembling and shaking and scared and didn't know what to do and needed help getting through. Now we cover that up, and some cover it up very nicely, I might say, and some cover it up to where you look at him or her and say, no, can't be possible. This is a super person. Right? This is a special godly created human vessel that has none of that. No, we all have that in us. And sometimes we go back to that when we need to get a new perspective. And it's only fair that we do. It was that younger us that gave us all the perspective we have, the way that we ingested and we interpreted and we embedded what was being told and taught to us. So why wouldn't we go back there to find a way when it seems like things aren't going our way, when it seems like we need a little bit of a boost, maybe in our spirituality? Because it turns out, a lot of times when we're involved in something like we wouldn't necessarily care to be involved in, the only way out is in. You heard that expression, you can't get there from here? We can't get there from here. We can get anywhere from here. So when we go within and we feel for ourselves, we experience for ourselves, we get the taste of the pudding for ourselves to determine, we also have the ability to make any change that we want. The great I am. Remember? Moses said, who shall I say sent me? Who shall I say you are? Say I am. The universe that grows a watermelon from a little tiny seed, or grows a giant oak tree from a little acorn, or that causes birds to fly across uncharted skies, thousands of miles, and then come back, the same universe that allows a salmon to go for hundreds of miles out of the ocean back up that little stream, big river, little stream, to where it needs to spawn. That very same universe, that very same life principle is as focused on us as it is on them. Can there be any doubt about that? Can you even begin to imagine that a universe that takes such intricate care of so many different systems and creatures and beings would for some reason not take care of what might possibly be argued to be the supreme species on the planet? Would not take care of us? Does not instill us with that same instinct and guidance and ability to become that oak tree or that watermelon or that spawning ground or that bird nesting place? How can that be? How can something take that much care of all that and not of us? If we're not having that care taken, who's that on? That's on the fact that we have probably not broken that shell yet. We have not tasted that experience yet because we have not gone within and determined for ourselves what the highest and best good is for us. Forget what's going on in the world. Because as we know, circumstances and events in the world can kind of color our thinking about what's best for us. Normally when we want power, what do we think of? Money. Power over circumstance. Is that money? Generally not. Sometimes, yeah. But true power over that circumstance that is our eternal, infinite right can't be bought. It can only be God. And it can only be God by personal experience. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. So, with that, just join me in this brief prayer, knowing that the power of life has been instilled within me. It has come here, it is inherent in me, it has come with the beginning of me. And in the same manner that if I once misused a mathematical principle or principle of chemistry or a principle of gravity or any other principle, but have since learned to use it correctly, the Spirit, the law, life, holds no grudge against me for having misused it initially. That's the same with that principle of life that courses through each one of us. We can make mistake after mistake after mistake, but when we finally find out for ourselves the delight, the happiness, the spiritual growth and embracing that one life within which we live, when we finally experience that personally by ourselves, that we have come to the pinnacle of what we can reach here, but then that's just the jumping off point, because we go infinitely higher and higher and higher, and that's the nature of spirit. There's not maybe the nature of this planet, but it is the nature of spirit. And as long as we find for ourselves how to navigate this planet while continuing our growth and our awareness in spirit, we then reach both. We reach the practicality and the principle. So knowing that it is that living presence that instills in us the want, the desire to do better, the need and the understanding of how to do it better. It is with this that we have been blessed with our inception, that small bit of undifferentiated spirit within us, which is indeed small, but is infinitely and eternally there and grows by our very demand upon it to whatever size we wish it to be, is our way of achieving the best that we can be. It's just knowing that this is the case and being so grateful for it that I just say, thank you, God. Thank you for this and for all things. And I just let this word go into that law, knowing that it is already done. And so it is. This is our opportunity to share our abundance. This is our opportunity to experience divine giving and communal giving. We know that all of our good comes from that one source, God, and for this we are eternally grateful. Each and every person, thank you for this continued support that allows us to sustain this ministry at the Center for Spiritual Living, Fullerton. And for those of you not back in the sanctuary yet, thank you for your continued support online, on the website, or by mail-in, or automatic deduct, or by just stopping by and seeing Tomoko for that wonderful breath of fresh prayer. We bless these gifts, these tithes, these offerings, knowing that they are given from the central core of who we are, which is that Spirit, which is God made manifest on this plane. We send them forth to do their good work in this spiritual community, in our overarching community, and indeed in the world at large. We send them forth with no conditions, no strings, to do their good work. So it is.
I see joy, I see peace, I see beauty surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. I see happiness, I see freedom. I see beauty that lives within me. I see perfection in what life brings. I see God in everything. I feel joy, I feel peace, I feel beauty surrounding me. I feel love in every breath I breathe. I feel God in everything. I feel happiness, I feel freedom. I feel the beauty that lives in me. I feel perfection in what life brings. I feel God in everything. I choose joy, I choose peace, I choose the beauty surrounding me. I choose love in every breath I breathe. I choose God in everything. I choose happiness, I choose freedom. I choose the beauty that lives in me. I choose perfection in what life brings. I choose God in everything. I know joy, I know peace, I know beauty surrounding me. I know perfection in what I breathe. I know God's in everything. I know happiness, I know freedom, I know beauty that lives in me. I know perfection in what life brings. I know God's in everything. I know God's in everything. I know God's in everything.
Yeah, Tommy Cosentino, come on. And let's just know together that something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called experience.
It's this thing called experience.
It's this thing called pudding.
It's this thing called pudding.
And the proof thereof
And the proof thereof